Reading from May 26th, Science of Mind, a Philosophy. Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in 1 year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is May 26th. So what we do here is we listen to the reading for the day being read. We share perspectives. We briefly meditate on all that, and then we close it out with a spiritual mind treatment and go start our day. Depending on what time zone you're in, you may have started your day hours ago. So here we go. There we go. Reading for May 26th, Science of Mind, a Philosophy of Faith, a Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 210, paragraph 4, through page 211, paragraph 2, using inclusive language. Treating children. In the case of an infant who is subjective to the conscious thought of the people around it, it may be necessary to teach the parents how to think about the child. Else one might heal the infant and have the parents' thought make it sick again. Explain to them the results of entertaining fears for the health of their children. Remember that the thought of the parents influences the child. We will suppose the parent is constantly saying, "The poor thing, the poor little sick thing." From the human standpoint, this is natural, but it does not help the child, no matter how loving the thought may be. This is called unconscious or innocent malpractice. It is malpractice because it is the wrong use of thought. Innocent because it is not intended to harm. Unconscious because the parent does not know the result of such mental action. In such a case, it is the business of the practitioner to realize that there is no mental influence operating through the child except a belief in perfection. At first, children are happy, free, spontaneous. That is why we like them. They live instinctively. As they grow older and their emotions become more complex, and they hear people talk about death, trouble, divorce, love and marriage, and everything else, good, bad, and indifferent, they begin to react to these emotions subjectively. Everything that opposes harmony and spontaneous unity will prove disastrous to the child's health sooner or later. After a certain age, children have to be re-educated, just as do adults, that their subjective mind may not produce false impressions. Okay, so this is probably the most challenging. Excuse me, get my chair out of the hole that's sitting in. This whole issue with kids, especially newborns, is probably the most tender area that we address, and perhaps maybe the most challenging to really wrap our human brains around, right? Because our whole philosophy is based on thoughts or things, and how many thoughts can an infant have, for crying out loud, right? I've wrestled with this myself, and I gradually come to understand that we have to continuously remind ourselves that there's only one mind, that we are individualized expressions of one consciousness. And that's the good news and the not so good news.
right? Because that allows us to do treatment for and with one another because we're treating in one mind. We're treating to heal and bring alignment and awareness to the magnificence of what we actually are rather than the separation and the limited version that we experience. And so the same is true about kids. Right? The very idea of illness impacts everybody because it is an idea that is alive in mind. Um, I would love to tell you I have figured out and fully understand how science fits into all of this. I don't. I honestly don't. Um, but what I do grasp thus far in the book, um, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, was very helpful for this. Is that my thoughts create an environment for all of my cells, right? They create an energetic environment that impact the whole because I'm a microcosm within the wholeness. And so if I create an environment of health for my microcosm, then I'm adding to that environment of health for the whole. Um, and it's easy. I mean, I think it is. It has been for me, perhaps not. Maybe you haven't experienced this. Let me rephrase. I have experienced it to be easy to get caught up in minimizing my individualized impact in the whole because I look at the whole and I look at me and I'm just a fraction of the whole. Um, it's just like I'm one teeny tiny little cell in this huge body of creation. And I minimize that until something happens in my physical body and I remember that all it takes is one tiny little cell to disrupt the homeostasis, the harmonious operation of one within my body. And interestingly enough, there's like um, 7 billion people on the planet and like 7 billion cells in a body. Um, it's interesting. Um, and, it hasn't always been that way. When there was less people on the planet, we still had 7 billion cells and there weren't 7 billion people. I'm just saying, I find that interesting now. Um, what I will say is that when it comes to kids, we have to find a place to see their perfection. And that's no different than with each other. Um, is it normal humanness to feel compassion? Absolutely. And we have to check ourselves so that we don't allow compassion to tip over into pity. Uh, because we don't know what that child's journey is. We don't know what the shared journey of the child with those parents is. We don't know why consciousness is expressing the way it is. But what we do know is that we have the agency to be a part of remembering that life is always unfolding itself and that is perfection. Um, that there is no guilt, shame, or blame in creation. We added that, and just as quickly as we added it, we can remove it. Right? We experience sadness because we love. And so, love the child, love the parents, and allow yourself to love the process even when you don't understand it, and to continuously remind yourself that that child is whole, perfect, and complete, that they are not their condition, that they are perfection, and that their parents are perfection. And continue to know that, and to show up as that energy, and to interact with the child and the parents, knowing their perfection, not announcing their perfection, because I'm not sure that's helpful. Um, as a parent who has lost a child, it's not helpful to to share every thought that we have. What's important is that we have them, because there's only one mind, and we are helping that. If the parents are stuck and they're asking for something great, then you can simply invite them to see past whatever the illness is, to see beyond the condition to the perfection of their child, and focus their interactions there to energize what they want, instead of getting stuck in how bad it is that they have something they don't want. And then retreat and retreat and retreat to remember and see and energize and be present with and play with and interact with the perfection of the child's being, no matter what. So that's what's alive in me about this very tender section. And let's move into our time of meditation. One, one power, everywhere present. One consciousness, its only desire to express, expanding itself through its expression of its creation. Infinite possibility in form and unformed, seen and unseen, experienced and yet to be experienced. One, one mind, all thought eternal, all thought responded to the same. One, nameless because it cannot be limited to a single concept. Changeless because it already is everything. Seen and unseen, known and unknown. Everywhere present because there's nowhere else to be. In one. One never divided against itself, yet which gives its creation complete choice to use or misuse the substance of creation that we call consciousness. I am that in form. Always have been, am now, always will be. It is the very substance of which I am made. It is all that I am, all that I can be, all that I will ever be, all that I have ever been. Is consciousness expressing as life. It just happens to be called my life because I am given free will to choose how I live it. And what is true of me is true of all creation. Choice. Unimpeded choice. Guiltless, shameless power to choose. This I know as grace. There is no condemnation. And yet, I experience the impact, the effect of every choice I make to inform me. And then I get to choose again. So everything that I experience that is in misalignment with the truth of my being, I get to choose about differently. I get to recognize, take ownership, and choose again. Even those thoughts, those ideas that impact me from a distance, I still have agency in the truth of one mind. And so I treat for perfect alignment. I treat for that perfect knowing. I treat for the experience of wholeness, for the unimpeded, unconfused clarity of the harmonious operation of one mind, individualized. And as I experience life in this human realm, I invite and I allow each situation to inform me to explore a greater alignment, a greater use of the truth of my being, a more clear articulation of the word, knowing that my word, the word of the infinite spoken through me, will manifest in form. I become intentional, purposeful. And as I bring to mind this whole idea of infants, children that are on a journey, a physical journey that expresses illness, I claim and affirm the perfection of their being. I claim and affirm the perfection of their medical team, of their parents, of their friends, their extended family, of all who come in contact with them. And in claiming the perfection of all, I recognize that divine intelligence is operating in the wholeness of the collective of those interacting with this child. And within that intelligence are solutions to this human experience. Within the infinite intelligence of life are the what we call medical advancements that produce in the medical realm the cure, all while knowing the spiritual perfection. And so I know in this moment healing for every child that is experiencing physical illness. I know in this moment perfect healing for every parent that is experiencing a child's illness. I know perfect healing and thought for every friend that is experiencing a friend's childhood illness. That the perfection of being is revealed. So that healing and cure are both happening simultaneously, unfolding perfectly as each individualized journey. I claim it as so. And I am grateful. I am grateful for the activity of law that always says yes, has already acted upon this desire, has already acted on the word spoken, has already made it so. And so I claim it as such, and I let go. I let go of any human need to control or manipulate or convince. I let it go. And I let the creative process be the creative process. I let life do life's thing. I get out of the way, removing all limited thinking. I let it go. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.